I'd like to call the Trotwood-Madison April 6, 2023 work session to order. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Judah Freeman?
Yes. Now, if we would stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, we will have the mission statement read by Mr. Monte Ivory. Okay, and you can read here if you would like. Here you go. You can sit right here, and you can read your mission statement. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna put this right here. You wanna take your coat off?
Get the podium right.
Okay. Here we go. Thank you.
That's a leader.
Very good. Okay, you comfortable? There you go. We're ready when you are. Whenever you're ready.
The mission of the Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources in a stimulating atmosphere.
Yay. You did an awesome job. Thank you, Monte. Geez, you're gonna be in that seat one day. Here you go. And you can shake their hands if you want to.
What grade are you? First grade? Great job. Great job.
Seat on the board.
Oh, sweetie. Oh, you did such a great job.
Thank you so much, Mom. And now I'd like the motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
I'll second.
What, please?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Okay, you might have to pull your mic up a little bit. Okay, the motion has been, are there any amendments?
For questions.
And we will move the executive session, well, first, we're going to have the oath of office by Mr. Craig Anderson, the newly appointed Trotwood-Madison board member, and that will be after the adoption of the agenda. And Mr. Anderson, you'll come
So-
after you're swearing in.
So, I'm sorry, President Freeman, so we're gonna put an item on to appoint the new
Yes.
vacancy? And that item will be item what?
That would be item F.
Item
Yeah.
F, under what item?
Under the,
Under opening, it'd be 1F.
it would be 1F.
One, oh.
It's
okay.
not on here,
Okay, so.
but it would be. So board members, if you would note that we will add item 1F, oath of office by Mr. Craig Anderson.
Okay, thank you.
And we will also add, after presentations, we will move item 10A to item 3A. And those items, 3A will then become 3B. So I will go over those again. So what we've added is item 1F, oath of office. Item 3A will be executive session. Item 3B will then be approval of the superintendent's contract. And then the others will move to items 5 and
The only suggestion that I'd like to make is in item 1F, we need a motion to accept the appointment of the new board member in the vacancy of Mr. Michael Andrews. We have to vote that, and then the oath of office.
Okay,
Okay, could we do that?
Yeah,
Is-
that's
okay.
yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
So it would be 1F is the motion to accept.
Yes.
And then 1G would be the
Oath of
oath
office,
of office, if that's to the pleasure of the board.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Yes, so the board agrees.
We're gonna vote on to adopt the agenda with the amendments. Yes.
Mhm.
Right.
We're gonna proceed with a motion to accept.
Next, and then the oath of
Thank you.
Okay, so now,
You have to vote.
if you would call the roll.
Yes, I will.
I always
Ms.
forget.
Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes. So now we will, I'll take a motion to vote to accept Mr. Craig Anderson as to fill Mr. Michael Andrews' board position.
I'll move to accept item 1F for the motion to have Mr. Anderson fill the vacancy from Mr. Michael Andrews,
Which is good through December of
which is
23.
good through December 31, 23.
Yes.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
and Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes, the motion passes. And now we will have the oath of office. Mr. Anderson, if you would come up.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Oath of office, Board of Education member. I state your name.
I, Craig Allen Anderson Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the
that I will support the
Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution
Do you have a hard copy of the agenda for him? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And now we will move to presentations. The first one is a year in the life of a student at ELC, presented by our ELC principal, Ms. Ashley Anderson, and featuring students from the ELC.
Good evening to Dr. Cosby and all of the board members and all who are assembled here. So one of the highlights of this school year is something that we implemented for the students at the ELC. So once again, for those who don't know me, my name is Ashley Anderson, and I serve as the proud principal of the Trotwood-Madison Early Learning Center. So at last school year, it started with this little diva here, Sasha. So Sasha is, of course, a dog, and we wanted to see how does it affect the students as well as the staff if we had a therapy dog. Because we know that after the pandemic, there are a lot of emotional supports that students need. We know that emotional support animals are things that a lot of students qualify for. So at the end of last school year, for the last month of the year, we just said, hey, let's just do it and see what happens. We talked to the necessary people, got the necessary approval, and Sasha joined our staff for the last month of school. So this school year, we have our lovely Labradoodle, Pierre. Pierre is like I said, a 9-month Labradoodle, 9-month-old Labradoodle. I think he's aged a little bit more now. But our school-based social worker here, Ms. Simone Epps, as well as our Samaritan behavioral mental health therapist, Mr. Christian Sawyers, they took the necessary training at the end of last school year to be Pierre's handlers. And so we share Pierre with a school that is near and dear to Dr. Cosby's heart. We share him with the Mount Healthy Middle School. So we have him at the ELC on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then the rest of the week, he is at the middle school. So Pierre serves students in grades pre-K all the way up through 6. As you can see here, Ms. Epps, so it coincides actually right along with the curriculum, because in the Wonders curriculum, the theme for this past unit has been about animals and just where they live, their habitats, and different jobs that they can have throughout the community. So this is, of course, Ms. Epps giving a presentation to our first grade students about Pierre and the job that he does. One of the things we notice is not only with the staff, but with the students. We know that the days that Pierre is there, first of all, if you're ever able to come to the ELC at about 8 o'clock when he arrives, just like all other staff members, he is a certified staff member of the ELC. He has all the necessary paperwork in my office, and then he also has a emotional support vest that he wears. So until he puts the vest on, he is just Pierre the dog. However, he knows when the students come in, if you should see it, he does immediately know to snap into attention, calm himself down, and be that emotional support for the students as well as the staff when he comes into the building. So we noticed and we've tracked it that on the days when Pierre is there, the number of calls to the office tremendously goes down. We noticed that the number of behavior referrals has decreased by 25%. And we know that just the smiles and the number of students and how they greet Pierre when he comes in the building helps. Not only that, as you can see, Pierre, that's Pierre and I, at one of our staff meetings back in December. So he just brightens the entire staff. He comes in, he is a lovable dog. We just love how he slides across the floor. He just kind of does his own thing. We also noticed that with the staff members are able to have their time with Pierre. So he has a couple of fan favorites. He and I have a standing appointment every Tuesday at about 10 a.m. He comes and spends time in my office so I can get myself to relax and get my mental health together so I can continue through the day. But he spends a lot of time with Miss Wilson Gunn, so that's her with him getting some extra love and attention. And we see here, Pierre is a very important stable, so if you come at arrival or dismissal, he is at our arrival door for our students who ride on the bus. One of our students here in the middle, she is absolutely in love with Pierre. Their interaction and reaction to each other when they see each other, you would think he is her dog, because the pure joy that he has is just amazing. As you can see, Pierre reminds me of the stone at the Apollo, because at dismissal, he sits in the middle of the exit door, and students have to pet him on the way out. So he's like the rock at the Apollo. He just kind of stays there. But don't take my word for it. Let's see what the students have to say. Seven, 1907.
Bye, sweet baby. Love ya.
Was anybody here yesterday to know what where Avery was?
Yeah, what Avery? Is it the Avery that goes to tutoring? It's a girl. Avery, oh, never mind. Yeah, that's a boy. Okay. That's a boy. There's an Avery that.
Here, sit.
Yeah, come here. Got his chair.
I like where did Shake see? I like to shake.
Girl, close your legs. Sit up.
Pierre loves me. Pierre loves me.
He does love you.
And there are some students, as the video is playing, there are some students who have the assigned role to help Pierre when he needs to go out for a walk. So it's their responsibility to help Miss Epps take him outside for a walk, clean up after him, make sure he's fed, make sure he has his water. And as you can see, there he is at dismissal, just sitting there, like I said, just like the stone at the Apollo. The kids have to rub him on the way out, or else he gets upset. I neglected to say, too, that at the beginning of this year, when we knew that Pierre was going to be in the building on a regular basis, we did make sure that we had parental consent. So all of our students at the ELC, all families, got a chance to say, yes, I'm okay with it, or no, I am not. So we have a list of those students who are not okay with Pierre, and we, of course, do not force Pierre on them. But we have some students who have changed their mind since he's been in the room and in the building to just kind of see what he's all about. So the one final video, Mr. Allen, if you could go to 1934, I'll let you, the young lady who really enjoys Pierre, I'll let you see what she has to say about Pierre and her desires for next school year.
Pay attention to you. Okay.
I like Pierre a lot and he's very fussy. And I want him to stay next year on.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you heard her, but she said, I love having Pierre and I hope he returns in the fall.
All right, say one more time what you said. Go over there, Pierre. Go over there.
I like Pierre and I want him to stay a lot and he's very fussy. And I want him to stay next year.
Okay.
So as I said, you are more than welcome to come to the ELC on Mondays and Tuesdays, and you will see Pierre doing what he does, helping students as well as staff members with their self-regulation. Are there any questions?
Great presentation. I like Pierre. I've never met Pierre, but I'm going to come over. Who does Pierre belong to?
We share him. So he doesn't belong to Miss Epps and he doesn't belong to Mount Healthy, but they have done the necessary training. So where does he stay?
Who's his owner?
That I have to find out. I know he lives in Cincinnati. He lives in Cincinnati.
He doesn't live here.
No, he does not. So Miss Epps gets him on Sunday nights and he stays with us Monday and Tuesday, and then he goes to Mount Healthy on Wednesday through Friday.
So did he have therapy training? or
Yes,
anything?
yes,
Okay.
there was extensive training. So when he was born and bred to be a therapy dog.
Okay. I mean, his disposition says it all.
Well, that's him when he's at work. Because like I said, when you see him, if you come there at 8 o'clock and you come into the office, just his excitement, even out the car, like he pulls Miss Epps into the building. And then he runs around the building, says good morning to everybody, and just, barks, gets his barks out. So he's truly a dog when he comes to the school, and at the end of the day. But he knows once he hears students, he does get himself together, he calms himself down, he regulates himself, and he goes into work.
That is really good, and I appreciate too that you brought in a new innovative program, but you were tracking the impact of that program on our students. Kudos, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job, thank you.
And now we have another presentation, and this gentleman is a former Trotwood alumni and track all-star here at Trotwood, but he's now the CEO of a company called Elevate to Educate, currently located in the school at Piqua and Miami County. If you go to Piqua's homepage, you'll see their really testimonials to what he's currently doing. So.
Make sure we're good with this. All right, thank you. My name is Zach Logan. Very happy to be here. I'm a Trotwood graduate. Went to the high school here, all the way from elementary all the way up. So it's an honor to be in the school that taught me and molded me into this great position, with obviously having a support system at the household. My father here. Just want to take the time to thank you for the opportunity to speak at my alma mater. And Ms. Michelle?
I'm Michelle Brown. I am the clinical director of Empowering to Elevate. I'm a licensed independent social worker. I have training, certification in trauma training. And I did not graduate from Trotwood, but I am still very happy to be here.
All right, we'll get started. So our focus, our company is Empowering to Elevate. We focus on regulation before education. We have a wide variety of services that we provide. We focus on not being a cookie cutter company. So what we do is we meet with a school district, we identify the needs, and we build the program according to their needs. So we have programs currently in the Akron area, Canton area, with Miami County, ESC, Piqua, and we just closed a new contract with Montgomery County ESC. So being able to provide these services, it's been a blessing, but ideally I would love to provide them in my home where I'm from. So I just want to tell you that. As you can see, our focus is we want to tackle the mental health challenges from within. Our key philosophy, we want to focus on building those rapports and relationships with those students, as well as those families, as well as the teachers, because we understand it's a wide variety of things that kids are struggling with and things that they need help to work through. So we tackle it from all different angles. And the goal is to regulate before education, because if we're not regulating these kiddos, they cannot further anything in their education. So by doing that, that helps us change their trajectory. Just a little bit of our vision. Obviously, we want to lean on their ability to learn. We want to focus on emotional regulation skills, coping skills, which allows their development to grow. And then we identify different areas to target to enhance the academic growth as well. This is just a wide variety of our services. We do individual services, we do group services as well. We say huddle just to get rid of the stigma. Obviously, in our community, the stigma is big, so we try to change the verbiage a little bit, so a huddle. And then we do family engagement events. Those family engagement events we have typically once a month. We bring in the families of our kiddos, and we do something educational. We bring food, because obviously we know if we have food, they will come. And then we also have some type of activity as well. How do we get there? How do we execute the philosophies that we have? And I'll open this up to Ms. Michelle.
So what we use is a fluid-based program. We've learned through our experiences that, as Zach said, each program has to be individualized for the school. But it has to be a continuum of services. The services have to be delivered to the student, the teacher, the parent, to be successful in what we do. So we use the Ohio scales, we use the ACEs. ACEs is both of these are evidence-based assessments that were created. ACEs was actually created by Kaiser Permanente, which is a large insurance-based program. What they did was they were trying to figure out why they had so many of their well-off customers that were developing all these health issues. So they put together this scale to identify if they had experienced any adverse childhood experiences growing up. If they had someone in the home that was an alcoholic, if they had someone in the home that had went to jail, if they had someone in the home that maybe spoke to them harshly or physically abused them. There's a number of categories, and within these categories, if you have above 4, you're most likely to develop some health risk as you grow up. Some mental health risk, or actually some physical health risk as you grow up. So we use this as a base to see what our children have experienced. The Ohio scales gives us a base to show us what the difficulties they're having now is affecting their development right now. We put those two together and it gives us a starting point. We use the neurosequential model. That is a evidence-based therapy developed by Dr. Bruce Perry. I know you hear a lot about neurals and brain development. That's all everybody is talking about now, because we're learning that even though we've grown to be this wonderful technology base, the way we develop is still the same. It hasn't changed. The way our brains develop is still the same. But we know that because we have neuroplasticity, that's the ability for your brain to grow and change, that you can address any trauma or any adverse experiences that a child may have had growing up, and you can help that child to not take it away, but learn how to manage it, learn how to control it, learn how to minimize it so it's not, it's not affecting them in a negative manner. And we also use the DACA.
All right, our next slide, we utilize this. This allows us to build out our curriculum throughout our programming. These are the domains. I'm going to skip to the next one just because I know we're on a time crunch. But this is our curriculum. We focus on these aspects of every kid to build out our curriculum. So, for instance, one example, language and communication. Is it easy to find, I'm quick to find words that I need. A lot of kids can't articulate or express themselves. So we utilize these in groups and do different either role-playing or worksheets and evidence-based things that we can do. Working attention memory. That's one of the biggest ones, especially with our lovely social media. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the tools that we utilize when we build out our curriculum for our programs. The next slide, we have just self-regulation and making sure that we're able to pause before we respond. Because a lot of times we react instead of processing and working through things. So these are some of the things. And the last one is cognitive flexibility. In all of our programs, we look at our routine of that program. If that routine is not set to what they're accustomed to, we expect chaos. Sometimes our routine might need to get retweaked, so we understand we'll have staff meetings and we'll retweak it. At the end of the day, nobody's perfect, but we want to be mindful of those. If we see different behaviors, it's not just the behaviors. What can we do to prevent those? So we're very mindful of those.
And this tool that Zach just showed us, we use that with everyone. We use that to get the teacher's perspective. We use it to get the parents' perspective. We use it to get the student's perspective. Because everybody, you might see the problem, but everybody has a different perspective of where the problem is coming from. Then we take this and we educate. We educate everybody on why this child is having this problem and what we can do. I love the program that you guys have with your preschool. That is a perfect example of building relational health, which is what our program is based on. We found that most kids that experience trauma, you have to build good relational health before you can get anywhere with them. If they don't have good relational health, if they don't feel safe, they're not gonna be able to use executive functioning. It's just not gonna happen because they're thinking in the primary parts of their brain. And executive functioning is in the higher parts of your brain. So if you can't get a child out of that function, you're not gonna be able to educate him. It's gonna be very hard. It's gonna be very hard for the child. So this is a teaching tool, and we show them how do you handle feeling annoyed? How do you handle not being able to communicate your words? And we do this through first getting them to recognize it, educating them on it, and then showing them. Sometimes showing them is actually going in the classroom, sitting down, asking the questions for them because they don't have the skill set to do it. Sometimes it comes that we had one of our programs, you set up a parent to come in every day and have lunch with their child. That right there was a small thing, but it built a base for a trust for the parent. It built showing the child and the parent that the education part was important, and we were able to educate both of them from that point on. So when we say our program is fluid, those are the kind of things that we do in each program to make it individualized for you guys.
We have just a few more slides. I know we're on a time crunch. We have a brief case study of our first program that we had in the Piqua area. For the first semester, we were able to have I know you see 10 out of 10 improvement and things of that nature, but these kiddos that we had in Piqua, these kids were on abbreviated days. They would always get suspended, expelled, and things of that nature. We had no suspensions, nobody went home early, and things of that nature. We handled everything internally with communication with the principal. So those kids were able to remain in school to maximize their whole school day, and that was a big thing for us, which helped us springboard to a new program in the second semester. So I'll go to the next slide. We're in the community. We just did the University of Dayton flyer pitch. We're in the final round, so we're excited about that. That's just a little nugget of our community-based work. And then just different structures that we have for funds. Obviously, the ESSER funds, we were able to, Piqua City Schools in Miami County, ESC, they paid us through ESSER funds. And also, they're like the Title IV dollars. And then obviously grants. I know in the Akron area, Canton area, is different grants. And we make sure we do our homework on different type of resources, so we can, if the school doesn't know, we want to help them understand how they can utilize our services as well. These are some of our current partners. Every school that we're currently in, we negotiate different contracts based on the level of needs. So this is just where we're currently at. And in closing, we have a testimonial from Piqua City Schools, from the director of their special education. You can see that. I know this is kind of small. I don't want to read through every word in that. I know we're on time crunch. And just thank you. You guys have any questions?
I like the part where you're connecting the family into being a part of the decision to identify what the problem is, and you're engaging those three main resources. It's the parent, it's the teacher or principal, and it's the student. So there's a voice there that collectively identify what their perspective is for the child. And I happen to have seen the testimonial from Piqua, and you know, that's pretty impressive.
How long have you all been in business?
I founded the company in May. Previously, I worked as a regional director at school-based programs all over the state. And Ms. Michelle, we worked previously for the same entity. And Ms. Michelle was a guru, and you know, we kind of gelled and matched perfectly. So we decided to take a leap of faith and develop our own entity of services.
I was a program manager. My job was to go into schools and plan a program and develop it.
It's impressive that the number of organizations that are working with you having just started in May.
Thank you.
I have a question about your outpatient services. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
So So for instance, our outpatient services, we have school-based, and that's what we kind of focus on because we're here. But the outpatient services, for instance, if we do family engagement events, sometimes we'll get another sibling that wants services that might not be in the school, so we'll take on that kiddo. Miss Michelle just had a client
I was gonna
that
say,
she did an
yeah.
assessment on in
And then the
Akron, and
parent
the mom
went.
said, I want you to be my therapist as well. So I have to be mindful that she doesn't have too much, but we have other therapists that we can allocate. That's how we build our outpatient. We don't typically seek out outpatient, but we get it more so word of mouth, but we have the capability of doing that.
And that's a great way to introduce therapy to the family. Because a lot of the individuals that we work with do not understand what therapy is. So during the assessment process, while I'm explaining things to them, of course, I'm gathering information, I'm building relationships with them, and then I get them to talking about their childhood. A lot of times, to help the parent understand what your child is going through, I take them back to their childhood, so they can understand, like, this is when, remember when you had these hopes and dreams, and what happened along the way. So now we want to put your child back on that trail, the same trail that you were on. So that's how we build our outpatients.
I just have to, this is a comment, I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, to take a leap of faith, to be here as an entrepreneur, and start a business in May and have this many clients, that speaks volumes. And here you are, a product of this product. You're a Trotwood-Madison City graduate. We salute that. We salute your success. And let's not, I'd be remiss not to mention your father. He's infamous, Mr. Logan, all right? Thank you. With the coin phrase of common courtesy. All those years, how long have you, well, you've been away for a while, right? But that has stuck with me in this district through my 18-year tenure. Thank you. So, and thank you, that was awesome.
Thank you. Board, I want to make sure.
Yes. Some of the children that you identify, are they currently on any IEPs?
All of our kids
Yeah.
Okay.
are on IEPs.
All right, awesome. I'll chat with you offline.
The majority of our children are on IEP. The majority of our children have experienced trauma.
Okay, awesome.
So the students would be identified by Dr. Cosby, or I guess Mr. Logan?
It would be, for instance, I mean, I worked with Trotwood because I had the Montgomery County ESC programs prior to starting
Oh, right.
our entity. So we would get any referrals that you would have that go to the Montgomery County ESC. Those kids, I would meet with their families, and I would meet with Ms. Tracy Mallory to, we identify services and lay out a game plan in a nutshell.
Sounds like something we definitely could use, and
And,
something that we definitely need, and of course, we would want to support our.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to come out. And now, board, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Ed Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1, and action may be taken.
I'll move to go into
Oh.
executive session.
Yes.
There is a second reason on here. Did you want to include that second reason as well?
I don't,
We didn't say that.
Yeah.
We changed the agenda, when we amended the agenda. We
well,
just said-
and I'm not sure that we still need that one, do we? We'll leave it on here, okay? And we're only gonna do the first one.
I move, I move to accept item 10A, which is now way at the top, okay? Executive session to consider the appointment as mentioned by President Jeter Freeman.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, motion passes. We will enter into executive session at 6:11. An action may be taken, and we will come back out to adjourn and finish the agenda. declare us out of executive session at 8 o'clock. And now we will move to, what please?
I'm sorry, are we at item 3 now?
We are at item 3.
Yeah. I make a motion to table item 3A as presented.
Madam President, I second that motion.
It's been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen, any discussion?
My discussion is, I just have not had an opportunity to look at the requested documents that we, as a board, are requested. And we have a new member of the Board of Education. I just think there will be an opportunity for him to take a look at this issue.
Okay. Any other comments?
Madam President, I would like to take the opportunity to review a few documents and after request a special meeting if necessary.
If approved.
Yes.
Any other comments?
Yes. I do not want to table.
Okay, so we will take a vote. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
No.
Mrs. Cherry,
No.
Mrs. Judah Freeman.
No?
You said no?
No. So we will take action to, the next item would be to approve the superintendent of schools contract.
I'll make the
Anything?
motion.
To approve it?
Yes. Ms. Moore?
Ms. Moore?
I
And
made the
then
motion.
I'll second.
second by Ms. Cherry. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
No.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
No.
Mrs. Judah Freeman,
Yes.
and Mr. Davis.
Yes.
The motion is approved. The superintendent's contract is approved for 2 years. Now we will move to treasurer's report.
Yes, this evening I just have for information only, the approval of the minutes from March 2nd, 2023 work session, March 16th, 2023 regular meeting, and March 27th, 2023 special meeting. That's all I have this evening.
Okay. And now we will move to the superintendent's report.
5A is Meta Solutions. It's a service agreement. As part of what you'll see is the cost for this software support that we receive, and it's our EMIS information, is 2,560 students at a cost of $16.75 per head count. Is $42,880. There is a second schedule of cost as well. And that is IEP Anywhere Plus, is how we do our IEP forms. It's $1.98 per student, and that amount is $5,068.80. And this is for information.
So that cost went up, because I don't remember it being 16 per student, I think. Okay. Any other questions? So we will move to item C.
Okay, item B is acceptance of donations. For the HBCU College and Career Fair, Unitary Accounting gave $250. Forge Trash Removal was $250. Simmons and Sons Reliable Services, $250. Premier Health also donated $250. For our middle school cheer team, Aaron Lumpkin gave $1,500. Mary Jo Peters donated $150. I'll be asking for approval of that at the next meeting.
Did we come up with how we recognize our donors? And if you would, can you bring whatever that is to the board at the next meeting so we can see?
As part of discussion, I would like to sort of share with you what we talked about. Ms. Tidd was involved in, looking up things and trying to find. And so we were wondering if there is, because some people donate, different amounts and some at different times, rather than people having, maybe 10 plaques. If it's over a certain amount, a plaque would be given, and if it's not, then a very nice framed document. Ms. Tidd said from her experience, and she has a lot of experience, that oftentimes, people don't want the big thing. It's like, where would I put it, versus a very nice document that they can have.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's something, I will share with you what she came up with.
Board. Nothing. Let's move on to item C.
Item C is approval of the Trotwood-Madison Middle School and High School 23-24 course guides. They are attached. And so this is for information. It'll be for vote at our next meeting. If you have not had a chance to look through them, they do identify new courses and all of that in them.
I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent, can you make sure I obtain a copy of that?
Yes.
All right,
for
thank you
sure.
so much.
Item D is approval of the personnel agenda. So,
Board President.
Yes? Yes.
Mr. Anderson, I have to apologize because I just ran the agenda and did not run the
Right,
run
you're
the
totally
attachment.
fine.
So I want to say
Oh, no,
that.
you're
Okay.
fine.
And we will get you your log on and everything and show you how to look at the board docs.
Okay, awesome.
and so again, this is for information tonight, but I'll just sort of run through what we have. We start with certified personnel agenda, which is agenda A. A1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified resignations for the 22-23 school year.
Do you have it, or
No, I don't.
can you shoot, or you can if you don't mind?
A2 is recommendation for the approval of the following certified new hires for the 22-23 school year. A3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified one-week postseason athletic supplemental. A4 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified letters training for the 22-23 school year. A5 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified summer school staff for the 22-23 school year. Now we're in the classified personnel agenda, which is agenda B. B1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 22-23 school year. B2 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified retirements for the 22-23 school year. B3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified new hires for the 22-23 school year. B4 is a recommendation for the approval of the classified supplementals for the 22-23 school year. B5 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified experience adjustments in pay for the 22-23 school year. B6 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified letters training for the 22-23 school year. And that's all I have.
Any questions, board? If not, we'll move to the discussion and follow-up items, the third grade guarantee update.
For our third grade reading guarantee, we have 52 students, or 27%, who have met the standard, either being proficient on the OST or have an NWEA MAP score of over 19. 142 students, 73% of our students, have not met the standard and are at risk of retention.
You said, what is that number again?
It's 142 students, so that's 73% have not met the standard. The things that we're doing to try to move those students forward, that's 73%. Each student at risk has what's called a GRIMP, a Reading Improvement and Monitoring Plan. We have intervention teachers at the buildings. We have computer-assisted intervention programs. We will be having summer school, Freedom School, which is literacy-based. And we also have after-school tutoring. We have 175 students participating in grades K through 3. One of the things, a couple of things for you to know, is that students will have opportunities to pass the third grade reading guarantee, again with OSTs, spring map, summer map, and OAT from June 26th through June 30th. So they will get they'll get like 3 more chances to take the test. Also, students, and sometimes people get this confused when we talk about retaining students who don't pass it. They're not retained for the whole third grade. They move on to fourth grade. If they're ready in all other areas, they will move on. They will just have to have third grade reading intervention along with still getting that fourth grade core as well. So when we say we will retain those students, the majority of them will move to fourth grade. They will continue to get the third grade reading instruction.
Dr. Cosby?
Yes.
If you don't mind, for the children who are at risk, have we notified parents? Are we
Yes.
engaging with parents to ensure that those children are doing what's needed to get where they are?
Yes, we do notify the parents when their students are at risk.
And how is the response?
I think a lot of parents want to do the best they can for their children, and they would say that all of the recommendations, for example, that they go to summer school, that they participate in intervention, the parents expect that we will help their children
So
be successful.
who's reaching out? Well, I have a 3-part question. Who's reaching out? Is it via telephone, email? Are we inviting them in for a one-on-one? And who's in that meeting?
They hold conferences with their parents. We hold them twice a year, and we just had our conference season not that long ago. Parents come in and speak with the teachers directly. If a student is in a concern for more teachers and for their teaching staff and people who are evaluating them, then they could participate in an IET, which is to determine whether or not that student they get special, interventions at that point. If they do not improve when they get directions from the IAT, then those students will be tested and considered to have an IEP, which is an individual education plan. So all of that happens in our district consistently.
So my last question is, can we provide data to back up that those children who are at risk, that their families have been contacted and we had a conference with them to explain, number one, on the level that the parent can understand and also the child. What are we doing? our teachers, because I understand we have annual parent-teacher conference so often, but I think this is very important to ensure that everyone's being contacted, everybody knows what's going on, and how we can move our third graders
So are
on.
you asking for maybe like a teacher's log that they, when they call?
Yes,
Because
definitely.
Our teachers, you know, they're not required to make constant calls, but they do. It's part of what, you know, our teachers do. I don't know if I ask for logs, if they would have them, because I don't know if they are required to keep them. But I do know that our teachers, would be making calls, would be contacting parents, would be notifying staff in the building, you know, if the child needs intervention, so.
Yeah, I think somehow we need to come up with a system to ensure that we are documenting situations like this, that children who are at risk, that we're doing everything that we need to do as a district for the child, versus, well, I attempted, no, we don't have active parents, so, I can't, you said 78%?
73%.
73%. That's a major issue. Alrighty, thank you.
And I think one of the things is if we have 173 that are actively participating with the tutor is,
But in that number,
right.
is it the 73 children that are at risk? Or are we
Right.
collecting data
Right.
from
And
all the
And it
30?
must be, because if you look at the numbers, it's only 142 that are not passing. So some of
I'm
those are the ones that are passing.
I-
But the question is, how often they're participating, so how do we count the participation, right? It's like, did they show up one time, or are they consistently showing up? And how often is the tutoring?
That doesn't make, I'm sorry, Madam
Oh,
President.
no, that's fine.
It doesn't make sense, because we wouldn't be having this conversation if 73 of the children who are at risk
Where's
are at
73%?
of the children who are at risk are actually participating in after-school tutoring interventions. And
And I-
how did you come up with that information that the 73% of the students who are at risk are actually participating, if we don't have the data to support that we contacted?
Mr. Anderson,
Mhm.
I would say this. You are new on the school board,
Mhm.
and so you aren't privy to information that we have shared with this board through DLT, through lots of information. We have a data dashboard that we're working to be even more precise and concise with what we're sharing with them. But our students are like all students. They are brilliant. They need a lot of support, because I know that you're aware of all that our children have been through. So they have come, when we talk about our early learning children, a lot of them literally are coming to school for the first time as a first grader. Some of them came to school for the first time because they were out. They didn't have preschool. They were out of school for a year and a half. So they showed up. So we're making a lot of different types of strides. It's hard. The thought that even attending this, and I hope and pray, and that's why we do these things, that this is a difference maker, all these things that we're saying. But what I'm saying is, we know what, I can't guarantee you that because they are attending, that they will pass.
Yeah.
I want them to, and we're gonna do everything we can, and we contacted parents, and we're working with them. So I just wanna make sure that.
So, I have a sibling who's currently in the district. I had one that's no longer in the district. In every instance, I had to reach out to see what was going on with that particular student. The teacher didn't reach out. The intervention specialist didn't reach out. So I know I'm new to the board, but I'm not new to the problems that are occurring. And also, I'm not new to that our teachers are not reaching out. Our administration is not reaching out like they should. Now, I'm not saying in regards to the third graders, but I'm only going off of what you said. You have data supporting, you said that you have data supporting that's the 73% of the children who are at risk are attending the after-school programs and whatnot, correct?
I said 175 students in K through 3 are participating in after-school tutoring. Now, that does not say,
Okay.
who they are, but I think Ms. Jeter Freeman's point was, we have 142 students who are making up that 73%. And in that whole building, in that third grade, our numbers are 194. So we could make the jump that the majority of those students are the ones participating in the after-school work. Now, it could be that all 52 of them are, and then that would mean that some of those kids may not be. And, I'm sure that we encourage, invite, do everything we can to have those students stay.
So one of the resources we have, one of the things Trotwood, we have are resources, right? So we have parent engagers. I think we have them at the, we also have them there, I believe. So what we want to make sure is how often are we doing the tutoring? So if the tutoring is just one day a week, that's probably not going to help
Right.
us.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm asking, how many days are we doing the tutoring? And then how many days so we need to count how many students are showing up each day. So it really is a log. And contacting the parent, if the teachers, because I understand the teachers are teaching, but we have a parent engager. So perhaps the teacher identifies those students, pass it to the parent engager, and I'm not sure what the process is now.
And this number may be up because, they did just go through testing again. So these numbers are basically based on the fall assessment. So the numbers, I can get back to you with updated numbers once we get the information back. But also, I just want to stress that, and I know that you're paying attention to education and everything that's going on, and just want to make sure that you understand that this is not just a Trotwood situation.
Yeah, and I would never categorize Trotwood, but okay, so how can I say this? And I don't mean to be disrespectful at all. My expectation as a board member, when we have a meeting, I want accurate numbers that are being reported. I don't want numbers that, well, this could have changed. Let's not throw out numbers if we don't believe that is correct. Okay, I want to at least come close to it as possible.
Right. I appreciate that, Mr. Anderson, and what I would say to you is when I was asked for an update on the third grade reading guarantee, I felt it was better to tell you what I know for sure right now.
Right.
Okay, because if that were the case, you wouldn't want me to wait until graduation or third grade,
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to go and who went and who didn't. So I'm trying to keep you up because that's how we know. Who do we continue to monitor? Who do we follow? We won't know for sure until after all these opportunities, including in the summer, is done. So I just want to be clear that I am giving you the best numbers I have right now.
Right.
Okay.
When are they tested, or have they already gone through the testing for this year?
And then there are still other opportunities for tests.
So-
There'll be a spring map, there'll be summer tests.
So there's another test before the end of the school year, this school year?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, they have 3 other opportunities.
yeah. So if you can get for, the board, how often, how many times have they been tested? And how many times just during this school year, before the school year is over? Because I look at the summer testing as, summer, extra, but how many did we get within the school year?
My question is, what does the tutoring look like? We've been so loose on tutoring. What does that look like?
Our teachers are the ones who are, staying back and working with those students, and so they would know what their needs are. I'm sure they're able to look at their needs. Like they have a REMP, which is, like I said, that reading improvement plan. And so I'm sure they base their.
Can you find
work.
out what that looks like? Not
Sure.
just, I know what you're saying is probably, on point, but it's speculative. I mean, I want to know what it actually looks like. Is it one-on-one? Is it a group by deficiency? Is it,
I'll
what
have,
it looks like? Because we've been tutoring and tutoring and tutoring and tutoring as much as we can. The entire board and the administration has had a collective effort to tutor kids. What does it look like? And then we can look at its efficacy. Is it working? I mean, you're saying 27% are proficient and 70% have not met the standard. Maybe there's something we can do in the tutoring that might change that trajectory.
And do we know this information before the end of the school year? And that's some of the questions I have is, are we only making this projection based off of these last test scores? And what interventions that we set in place when they didn't do well? I'm speaking of, I say last semester. So I'm speaking of from the time they started school to December. Were there any red flags to say that these children, and were those children placed in?
We have reading specialists in our buildings. We have people who are monitoring our students and their progress consistently. So that is happening. I think there seems to be a concern that we're allowing our children just to sit and not progress. That is
No, that's not what I'm
the case.
thinking.
Okay.
I really want to know the numbers from September to December. Has it gone down or has it increased? And then we start discussing from January to now, that means that what you have in place is not working. And why haven't we changed or had the discussion to ensure that what we have in place is allowing our children to be successful? It's April, 73 children in the third grade.
142 students.
73%, I'm sorry, keep correcting me. 73% of our children are at risk right now, and that's a large number. I probably wouldn't have that problem if we were under 50%, if we collected this data and say, hey, we were at 73% from the time they started to school for winter break. We implemented these services, we contacted the parents, we got them in tutoring, we had special classes, special reading groups throughout the day, and our numbers dropped. Where were we at last semester? That's where I want to know. That's my question, and I'm done with this particular subject.
Okay.
And the information that's shared, there is a lot of data.
Right.
From the district leadership team, and I didn't attend the last one, I was out of town, but if you can have that information forwarded to all the board members.
Okay.
Is that the same information that's on the data dashboard?
No, it's much more than that. It's, yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of data. And next we have the senior, are there any other questions first? If not, we'll have the senior academic status update.
Okay, we have 152 seniors. Of them, we have 100 who are ready to graduate. 37 of those 152 still need multiple credits. They still need to pass with competency and/or they need to get seals. Those 37 students are all actively working on completing their graduation requirement. Everyone else is looking forward to graduating, the other 100. 15 students are what we consider no-shows. In other words, they have not attended school for a very long amount of time. When we have that happen, when we have no-shows, that means we have looked for them, we have tried to find them, we have been unable to do that, and we do have a couple of students who are incarcerated that are on this list. All parents of students who are in danger of not graduating have received a letter from their counselor at the beginning of the third quarter, alerting them to their graduation status and letting them know what they still need to do in order to graduate. The counselors have followed up with those students and are tracking their progress in APEX and with earning competency and seals. And this is something that just doesn't happen at that one time. I'm bringing you up to speed as to where we are, but all along the way, students are notified that where they are, that they need to be prepared to graduate. So we do have 100 who are ready. We anticipate the other 37 making it, and those 15 who are no-shows or who are incarcerated will potentially not graduate, but I'm sure they find them and they have their credits and all, we'll deal with that at that point.
So where are the other 5? Because you said there were 152 altogether, and 100 are ready, 32 have multiple needs.
37.
37? Okay, okay. Thank you.
So as a high school, we're doing everything we can to ensure that the 37 graduate. So the next time we meet, if we meet before graduation, I'm hoping that the 37 students have met the necessary requirements to pass and graduate.
I'm hoping so too. We're definitely doing the work.
On the 15 no-shows, one of the policies I think this board, or at least I've mentioned to the board, we need to look at is our open enrollment. So we have an open enrollment policy we started this year. One of the things we need to track is for our discipline issue and for, even for these no-shows, how is open enrollment working? Or do we have concerns we need to double back and address?
Yeah, and I would love to see the data regarding that, because open enrollment might be saving the district, in my opinion. We're only less than 2,500 students, and it's yeah, and as far as discipline, yeah, let's not get into that. Yeah, I understand. Open enrollment may be saving us in the long run, but yeah, I move on. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? And at the work session is where we do
Right.
most of this discussion, so you're aware. And now we will go to treasurer's comments.
In front of you, I have put a hard copy of the treasurer's update for April the 6th. I also attached that to board docs in the executive tab, so I do that just in case you want to go back, can't find a hard copy, you want to go back and read my reports. So there are several sections that I wanted to bring up to date on in that report. The other thing is I wanted to say is that I am going to put a report together from the classes that I attended for the National School Board Association, so that I can let you guys know some of the suggested improvements that I sat through. So the one was, and I know you guys sat through this, was records, public records. That was a great one. Another one was a school out of Michigan that talked about, their staff and their board and how they worked on different things. So I will bring that back on the 20th. And that's all I had this evening.
Okay, superintendent's comments.
My comments, I would like to just say that the young man who read the mission statement today was fabulous. He did a great job. I think both of our presentations were also very good, and they dealt with the mental health issues that a lot of our staff and students are dealing with in relation to all the things. So I thought that was very good as well. I also want to bring to your attention, it's something that I just, hold on one second. I need to confer with my treasurer.
No, I think just put the paper in there. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So over the course of this year, we have been talking about students getting experiences and opportunities to do things that are different. We've also realized that it's very hard for students in this environment to, and when I say this environment happening in today's world. That's why we received the ESSER money, and when we received it, we put money in different categories of how to use them. And so we have, as you all know, not been able to do all of the trips, not to be able to do all the things that our students have requested because we just couldn't afford to do all of that. I do have a trip that I would like to use some of our ESSER dollars that are set aside for it. We've talked about this particular trip before, and we have went back and forth about how to make it happen for any student whose family really wants them to attend. And we felt like the amount of $500 for a family would be something that if they could do that, were willing to do that, and really is doing it because they want their children to participate, that would be a healthy amount of their input. And this is that money along with fundraising. So the parents would not have to provide the whole $479.78 is what it actually came out to if we were to add in $8,000. Now, that would, for each of these 37 students, that would be $216 off of the initial tally of $700 or $696. Was what it was going to cost for these students to go. If we take off the $216.22, it would leave them having $479.78 to be responsible for. Again, there has been some fundraising, but it is very hard to fundraise. I know that we're looking at troubles with the prom right now because they are struggling to fundraise. They have done all kinds of things, and we're just not getting parents to do that. So this money is available. It's available through ESSER. All the families had the opportunity to, say that, they would go if they could, and if, and then they made the choice, not to, but 37 of them really want their children to go to DC to visit. I shared with you the itinerary at our last meeting of what they would be doing, and I think that it's definitely a great trip for students. Starting next year, when we don't have any ESSER funds anymore, people understand that it will depend on their ability to either provide the money themselves or to fundraise. And so they will starting those processes a lot sooner. What we're hoping to do, Mr. Anderson, and we already have it, but to actually follow it, is what we call like a passport, so that every grade knows where they're going every year. The 8th grade trip to Washington DC is pretty much the most prominent trip, the biggest, you know. We do have, some of our choral groups and band, they go to New York and different places, but for a class going to DC in the 8th grade, we talked about the fact that if they need to start fundraising in 5th grade to be ready, that class, then they need to do that. So I guess, I just wanted to mention that to you so we can have a little discussion on that, so that if, there is a reason not to supply that, for this trip, I would, you know, like to know, as part of my decision making.
How many students on the trip?
That would be 37 students
Total.
total.
The
Out of it.
parents, I'm sorry, the parents are asked to put in $478?
79.
Along with fundraising, so that'll take, the fundraising will take off that amount, but that is.
400. So
Yeah, we'll
what's the
take off of
total amount per child for this trip?
$696.
I thought it
Okay.
was 796.
You said 796.
I apologize, it's $696.
Per
is the
child.
total amount,
Okay, per child,
and
right.
$216.22 would come off if we were to use 8,000 from ESSER.
8,000 or one, how many?
8,000.
$8,000 from ESSA.
Students.
Okay, so
And how much is it total? My phone's dead, so I don't have a calculator. For, with full amount, total, all,
696.
no, like,
times 37.
yeah, times
Is that what you were
37,
talking
yeah.
about?
696.
Times 37.
Treasurer's doing it.
25,752.
And we haven't reached out to anyone, any local vendors, to see if we can get donations. $25,000 is not hard to raise. Now, I'm just asking.
When I say fundraising, I can ask them, did they reach out? I know that it's been brought up in our board meeting before.
You know, what I always bring up is, so we have the list of partnerships, right?
Yes.
Think it's the principal's responsibility for his students to be the lead and the chair out there with those sororities, fraternities, churches, other organizations. It's easy to ask, but when you ask of organizations that you can collaborate with and also come into your school, and I know that he has groups in the school, so I personally want to put the emphasis and throw that back to all those groups that want to come in. The responsibility lies with the principal to do some kind, so we want to teach our students too how to be leaders. And one way we do that is teaching them to put their best face forward, to contact a corporation or an organization to say, hey, if that building has a student leader as a student council president or whatever, we got to get them exposed to doing those kinds of things. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree, Madam President. It should be a project that our 8th grade students could get credit for. If you write a letter to your local representative or pick a company that you like, Apple, and write a letter requesting for your amount to go on this trip. Or if we can find someone who can do the total $25,000. But I think it's a major burden to even request our students to have to pay for this to DC.
So,
Yeah.
I guess what I'm hearing you say, are we talking about what we will do for next year's trip, or are we talking about this year's trip?
I think I'm talking about this year's trip. I know at one time, you gave us a list of at least 40 to 50, 60 partnerships that people are invested in Trotwood. You know what, didn't the band just recently do something and they sent emails? Did you guys get an email from the band?
And I did.
The band sent, let me tell you how
They just did a
amazing.
GoFundMe.
Okay, let me tell you how amazing our students are. And that's how we need to, that is what we need to go back and tell this group, okay? They did some sort of email blast asking the students, asking for donations. I donated to a student. The student literally said, listen, Ms. Moore, we really want to do this. We have this plan. We're short on funds, and they are sending out tens of thousands. Everybody they know is getting one. And you know what? I hit the donate button, and I know you said you did it too, and Dr. Cosby, I'm sure.
did.
Guess what? They got theirs. Another thing, we got to look at the ROTC. I don't know what the JROTC is doing, but they're doing it. Miss Allen, you're smiling. And you know why you're smiling? Because they're doing it well. They plan outwards of a year or so. They know where they want to go, and they look at their budget. And if their budget is $50,000, that is the goal, to raise $50,000. Also, if they come short of that, they look at the trip as a whole and they scale back. It's just like how we budget in our households. Again, have they exhausted those partnerships? Because we got a lot of them. I mean, you're only talking, $8,000. We got 40 partners, okay? Major partners. I've already mentioned even the Chick-fil-A on Benchwood. I was in there, the guy recognized me as a board member, and he says, why doesn't Trotwood ever ask us for money? We support Vandalia, Tip, and Troy, but Trotwood never comes and asks us for anything. This is a good opportunity to teach children leadership skills. This is a good opportunity for those principals to really champion their
Right.
students to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And if they've already done that stuff, this is different. Say they already did all that, guys.
Right.
And they come back and they say our coffers are a little empty. That would be an appropriate ask. But
Right.
if they haven't done those things, I say they should go do those things.
And the other reason is because those kind of asks did come to the board.
Yeah.
And those were our stance in the, on
past.
those issues. But I also want to say this, I feel bad if I'm supporting only 37 students with $8,000 if it's really 50 students in the class. So I don't know, is that equitable and fair? I don't know.
How did we come up with the number 37? Are those good grades, perfect attendance?
I'm sure they do. I can have the middle school come over, Ms. Tyus, who is doing that, to share that information with you. But at this point, I will find out whether or not they've done this, that amount of trying to raise the money. And
And to whom? Because we
Yeah.
all have relationships.
And Trotwood is predominantly African American, and there's a few groups who want to fund trips just for our students to see the African American Museum and the Martin Luther King Monument.
They do.
As you mentioned that, I didn't have my sheet in front of me, but that's missing off of the trip.
I'm sorry.
The
What's on the
visit
trip?
to the African American Museum, I don't think I saw it on the trip.
I didn't look at it, so I'm not sure.
I looked at it the other day, but I don't,
Yeah.
it's buried somewhere.
And
But I
and
don't
what's
see
the
it,
total
so
number of students, the total? That's-
I
37.
couldn't even support that
Yeah,
if it's not on there.
no, it's at the total. period.
And when is the date for this trip?
The trip starts May 3rd.
Wow.
And I know, Dr. Cosby, you have relationships. You have a sorority. Have they reached out to your sorority? And maybe if we have relationships otherwise, we can ask. But they should send us something. It could be a district, it could be a school-wide, I hate to say it, initiative. It doesn't have to start or stop with the principal and Ms. Tyus.
Okay, I think I've heard your comments.
It's
and
the African American Museum on the itinerary.
I did not see it on the itinerary.
Yeah.
So what's on there? I didn't see. What's on the itinerary?
I don't have it. I looked at it the other day.
MLK, so the MLK Memorial, FDR, Jefferson Memorials. Then they'll go to the Marine Memorial, Korean, Vietnam, World War II Memorials, the Holocaust Museum, Arlington National Cemetery. They'll see the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknowns. They'll go to the U.S. Capitol, the Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, and the White House, Smithsonian Museum of choice. And I'm not sure, because you know, the Smithsonian is made up of a lot of different, and then Pentagon Cities.
Yeah, I mean, for us to be a predominantly black district, regardless, and we don't have the African American Museum on there. I've been there, I'm not sure who else.
Yeah,
I've
I've
been
been.
there.
Yeah,
It is,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, but
it is their history.
Yeah.
It's their history that some people don't want told,
Yeah.
and they need to see it. So we're missing the mark as a district in what we're teaching if we're putting the Smithsonian and not the African American Museum. That,
I will ask if there was a reason why it's not, and I don't know what it would be.
and I
I'm just
probably
saying
wouldn't
I would-
even
I would
approve it
ask.
if it's on there personally.
What's that?
I have a
You
problem with
wouldn't,
that.
which one? The what?
African American Museum is not on there.
Oh, okay. And you know what? See, in
For
that, to me,
my vote.
because we understand how important that piece of a trip like this would be, say they got all their money together and they came to this board and said, it is $37 a person, and we don't have the money for the African American Museum. And we know that's part of our curriculum, we teach African American history. We want our kids to go, would you guys support that? See, that's different to me than the trip.
Okay.
But that's a whole trip in
But
and
guess
of
what,
itself.
but again, maybe they should look at that. I mean, those Smithsonian's, the mall, I don't know if you've ever been to see, and you just walk through those.
So, Dr. Cosby, and I understand it's close. Is it possible that we can ask the staff member who's planning this trip?
And
How
think
can I
it would
say
be
this?
The principal.
Yeah, the principal. I don't want a simple email to be sent, hey, why isn't the African American Museum on there? I want actual facts on the reason why the African American Museum is not on the itinerary. Checks and balance, that's what I want. I don't want it just a back and forth email, oh, we're too late to register. I want actual facts to prove that we couldn't get the tickets, we were too late, if that's possible. And in the meantime, I will do my part to try to get donations to offset the costs, because $400 is still a lot for families in this climate, definitely single families. That's a bill right there.
Anybody.
So I will do my part.
Well, I truly appreciate that. I will share that with them.
Do we know how many total students are in this is 8th grade, right? Yeah, so how
Yeah,
many?
I don't know off the top of my head how many 8th graders we have. I do know,
Yeah.
just to be honest, but this year trying to secure buses and
Right.
hotel rooms and all of that.
Right. I got you. All right,
And that's all I have.
okay, thank you. And now we'll go to board comments, Mr. Davis.
Well, greetings and to all. Soon to be a good night, right? I'll start off by just speaking to the stakeholders, the educators, and everybody here. I won't be long tonight. I would like to say to everyone, thank you guys for your patience. What everyone is witnessing here is something that I would like to call reconstruction. There's growing pains in reconstruction. There's challenges. My biggest challenge is not wanting to look at terminating folk for insubordination or challenging authority all the time. I have a big thing about challenging authority. That's something that I am humbling myself with because in the state of Ohio, I seem not to have to give great reason to terminate folk for not caring about these children the way they should. But us in the Reconstruction area of this time, what you will see is growing pains. You will see some type of arguing at times. You may see miscommunication at times. You might even see tardiness to things. All those things happen when people are regelling, reconfiguring, redeveloping something into a more elevated version or an evolutionary stage of time. You even have different generational misunderstandings where you might have somebody from a millennial generation that may not understand somebody from generation Y, Z, or Alpha. All those things come together to make something quite beautiful when it works well. If you've ever seen, and this goes for media as well, if you've ever seen confusion, if you've ever seen division, it's in requisites to us conforming to build things in a way. I may not always agree with my counterparts on the board or even my Madam Superintendent or Treasurer, even operations and anything. You may not always see us always come together, but one thing when it comes to children you will see in Trotwood-Madison is that all that will stop and we will cease and assist immediately under duress, under stress, under whatever situation that incurs. There's been positive situations this quarter and there's been negative situations. But as I told several outside sources, you will see us come together, no matter if it's a confusionary time. But please, 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 for not 1 second doubt that if you see me and my colleagues up here, we're in unison by the end of the night. It may be some type of questions. It may be us giving each other a hard time at times, but those are things that happen on a team, believe it or not. We don't have a team like the Lakers where Kobe would get 90 points and we'll still lose the game. That means something went wrong when somebody has that many points and you still lose the game. So what we want to do is spread out. And so what we've done is we've brought in better and more younger people. I don't want to say better because I got attacked about that on several occasions because in this city, they love their folks. See, I'm not really from here, so I'm learning about that. They love homegrown folk. But unbeknown to that, we have a new sheriff in town. And this gentleman has came in kind of lighting something under fire. I'm watching his relationship with the superintendent right now. It's making me think that maybe I need to do better as a board member asking questions, just watching this. So I'm about to digress, but all I want to say is thank you to everybody from our educators. Thank my president of the board. Thank my former president of the board. Thank my former vice chair of the board. Thank my new vice chair of the board. Thank my treasurer. Anybody in attendance today. IT, he sits here quite often, and I don't know if I always say howdy to this brother, but I sure like him and enjoy his energy. Always got a smile on his face, no matter how long he has to be here and I'm getting tired yawning. And I also appreciate when I'm long-winded, the respect level that you ladies are showing me and gentlemen. Mind you, I've only been on a year and several months, and I don't know if that's enough time to really judge what I'm trying to do on this board. But I want everybody to know I love them here. Like, even if you see me disrespect you, I love you. It's not a personal thing at this point. And you guys have, even before I got to this level, were influential in my children. So for 1 second, please don't ever think that I'm not here to listen, be there, fight for you, champion you, and be fearless for you. Maybe even call me crazy sometimes, but we have a new guy here, and I'm going to do the best I can to conjoin and figure this whole circle of leadership in our district. I digress. Congratulations for you taking this interview, you accepting the role, and being sworn in a matter of the speed of light, and coming in, jumping in here. Look forward to working with you. I can't speak for the rest of the board. I can only speak for myself on that. I digress.
Okay. And now, our new board member, Mr. Craig Anderson, with your comments, please.
Thank you so much. I would like to first thank Mr. Michael Andrews. He's one of the reasons why I'm here. I don't know him personally, I haven't met him, but he did resign for whatever reason. And I had the opportunity to apply for this position, and the current board has decided to appoint me as another board member of the great Trotwood-Madison City School District. As I reflect, a year ago today, I was finalizing the funeral services for my mother. And it's a very, very, very heavy moment in my life, and definitely for my younger siblings. I took in my little sister and my little brother, who my sister was a student in the Trotwood School District, and my little brother is currently a student at the high school. And I don't take anything lightly about this appointment. My goals is not to be negative. I don't want to come off as challenging to anyone. I'm really genuinely asking questions from the heart. I do not want to come off disrespectful to our superintendent or to any employees in the district. I just wanted to make that very clear. But as I continue to fill this appointment, my goals, and one of the reasons why I sought is for our children, number one, and also the parents of the children to have a voice on this board. And that will be my goal. That will be the mission I continue to go for until either I get reelected or someone else sits in the seat. This seat is not mine. This seat is the Trotwood School District, whoever encompasses that school district. So that's what I'm always reminded of. And I want to thank all my colleagues for accepting me and pushing me right in. This has been one very good, I want to say good meeting, successful meeting in my opinion. And I want to thank every last person who came out and to support me. Thank the young men who did the mission statement. It is awesome to see our children involved, and he was actually able to sit at the sacred desk to do the mission statement. I think that is all I have. For all YouTube, social media, if I missed anything, please charge it to my head, not my heart. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Moore.
I want to say welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Trotwood-Madison City School. Thank you for bringing the energy that you have. And again, you know it's your first night. Trust me, as time goes on, you will get all your questions answered. You will have the data that you need to support decisions and recommendations. You will gel real well with this team as a whole. We are a collective body, but individuals that think individually. I want to say the young man, Monte Ivory, was phenomenal. A leader. He walked around this dais and found his proper place. That's leadership. But guess what? That's Trotwood. That's our kids. I also want to say the presentation done by Principal Anderson was phenomenal. The little dog.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go over there just to do pet therapy. But it was amazing. And we have a lot of good and great things going on in Trotwood, and we're going to have a lot more good and great things going on as time goes on. And now we're full board, which makes it very nice for us as a collective body. Mr. Davis, you mentioned, I'm going to be a little long tonight, but not too long, but you mentioned that we can all do better. I concur. That is so true.
I
We
gotta be
can
accountable.
all do better. And I have been grappling with a message to our board. And I've been grappling with this message for a while, and I've probably already shared this individually with each and every one of you. And I jotted down a few things because I thought it was important. And it doesn't matter which way votes go, because we all understand it's a consensus, correct? And once the vote is made, that is the decision of the board, collectively. But I do want to say this, and I want to say this for the record to my fellow board members. I am concerned. I'm concerned and I'm disappointed in a way that we have been conducting business. As a Board of Education, we have been charged with effectively governing our district in the best interest of our children, parents, and citizens. However, unfortunately, we have been falling short on our responsibility and prescribed duties, which is unacceptable. At times, I bore witness to a body that says they want to see change, but do not have the willingness to mandate that change. I am but one person, and I cannot do it alone. As we all know, it takes that majority and consensus to make things happen. It is our duty to make tough decisions that may not always be comfortable, but we cannot be negligent in our elected roles. We, all of us, have been entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that our students receive a quality education that prepares them for their future. This responsibility is not taken lightly. Mr. Anderson said that, and I believe Mr. Davis has said that multiple times. And we need to do better in fulfilling it with productive conversations and actions that align with our district's goals. We have been reluctant to hold our employees accountable on multiple occasions, and as a result, the district has been suffering, and our students and staff have been paying the price. This is not acceptable, and we need to hold ourselves accountable. The superintendent said at the beginning of the year, this is a culture of accountability, and it starts with this board, our actions and our inactions. We cannot point fingers because there are 4 pointing back. Moving forward, we need to take every opportunity to exemplify professionalism and hold high expectations for ourselves and the district we manage and serve. Our students and overall district should not be a casualty of poor leadership and decision-making at the hand of the highest level of leadership. It is time for us to step up, take ownership of our responsibilities and duties, and adhere to the oath of office. We owe it to our students, parents, staff, and community to do, Mr. Davis said it well, better. We need to make decisions that are in the best interest of everyone, students, even if they are not popular decisions. It is not only our responsibility, but our charge to ensure that everyone, each of our students, each and every one receive a quality education. I'm asking this board to work together to ensure that we are effectively governing our school district and fulfilling our responsibilities. We owe it to ourselves, our students, parents, staff, and our community. Respectfully stated, I've been in Trotwood for 49 years. I've served on this board for 18. One thing I know for sure, we all want the same thing. We have different ways of going about it, but as a collective body, we have to work together to do better. We cannot look at the 2 employees that we are in charge. They direct reports. It's not them. It starts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
You're welcome.
And now, Ms. Cherry.
At this time, I can say good afternoon, good evening, yes.
Almost good night.
Almost good night. First of all, my focus is academic achievement and student safety. That is my primary focus. And I agree, we all agree to disagree, but we should have one major goal in common, and that is the academic achievement for our students and the safety of our students. I want to welcome Mr. Anderson to the Trotwood Board. Look forward to working with you. I also want to say congratulations to all the honor students and all the students who made honor roll. I want to say congratulations to those who are putting their best foot forward and their best behavior while in the community. I want to say congratulations to Sophia and Charlie, our student athletes, on and off the court. She carries a 4.23 average, grade point average, and Charlie carries a 3.4 grade point average. I want to tell all of our students that you do matter. So we want to make sure that we stay focused on the curriculum and academic achievement. I wanted to say congratulations to our marching band who continues to shine. So I applaud them, and I want them to keep rocking it out. Also, Mr. Preston Newell, our middle school athletic director, for being named the Southwest Ohio Athletic Director of the Year. Congratulations to all the seniors who are on board and are eligible to graduate and graduate on time. If you are not one of the seniors that still has to put in work, there's still work to be done, and we still support you, and we still believe that you can make the mark and march in this upcoming graduating class. I just wanted to say that we have work to do. We have work to do. We need to change the climate of Trotwood and the perception of Trotwood. But we can do this as long as we do it in decency, respectfully, and in order. And with that, I conclude.
Thank you all for your comments. And first, I want to thank Miss Lovely, Monte's mom, that brought him and his other little handsome son to the board meeting, and he did. He came up, he got comfortable, he was taking off his coat, but he was sitting back there, and I talked to him. He was sitting back there studying and reading his the mission statement. And I'm like, just relax. And he did. He totally relaxed. He came up, took his seat, he even took off his jacket. It's like, I'm gonna get comfortable for a minute. So that was the highlight, the beginning of the meeting. And welcome you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
You know, you have lots of questions, and you should. You're new to the board, and those are all good questions. And we will work, we have a lot of work to do. But as a team, you know, I think the importance for us at this point, we can't, as one of you said, I don't know who, we can't do anything, and I think it was Ms. Moore, individually. So my statement, I think if we can form together and understand that at the core of this is student achievement, right? Every time we're spending time on something other than some of the questions you were asking and some of the concerns we have, we're not doing the students or the district the best service. So if I'm here till 9:15 at night, I want most of that conversation to be around how do we get more of that 175 students? How do we? What are we doing? And I think you asked that. And what can we do more of? But it is tracking those numbers, because in our mission statement, it's each and every student to excel, right? It's not one or two. So how do we do that? We do, as you said, we look at the numbers. But this board only meets 2 times a month. This work session is where most of the work is done. You can send questions and ask questions in between, and you'll have a few. And so we want to form those so that, let's think, when we're asking, let's make sure we don't leave out that most important part when we're spending the time here. Most important questions in part focused on what is it our students need? What other interventions, what's working, what's not working? One of the charges of the board, if you go and look in our board policies, it's board self-evaluation. And is whether or not we're reviewing the programs that we have approved and put in place. So we have some work to do. But you know, I'm not optimist. I appreciate, respect each and every one of you, our superintendent, our treasurer, and I think we can do this. But we have some work to do, and I hope we'll get there to get the work done. And those are my comments for the night, so.
Ms. Jeter Freeman, I hate to ask this, but I'll only do it if you will allow me. I have received a message from Ms. Sterner, who is in the building with our third graders, and she wanted to give a little more information for you.
Okay.
Is that okay if I share what she said?
Well, if you would send it to us.
Okay.
And we'll,
All right, she does get into more detail as to
okay, if you
what
would
they're
send
doing.
us the
I will send it
information.
to you.
But I appreciate her sending it to us. So if there are no, Ms. Allen?
Excuse me, just a reminder to the policy committee, Ms. Moore and Mr. Davis, there's a 7:30 a.m. policy meeting on Monday morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I will send you something on Sunday night to remind you.
Okay. Thank you all. If there are no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes. Thank you all.
I'll send it to everybody.
Oh, no, we didn't, yeah, we're done. We didn't have it.